Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be taking you along on my first time ever dyeing yarn. So I've gathered all of the supplies that I think I need, excuse my messy kitchen, and I'm gonna kind of show you what I got and then show you what I end up doing. I didn't find a lot of information on dyeing, and that's okay because I kind of like just winging things and figuring it out on my own. Because who knows, you could come up with a whole new technique that nobody else is doing, and it can still work. Sorry if you can hear my dogs, they're kind of playing around. But yeah, let me go ahead and just show you everything that I bought. I am gonna say prices of everything just so you can get a general idea of how much I invested into this to try it out. And then you can see if it's something that you wanna try out, because I know hand dyeing yarn is pretty popular right now. Kind of hard to take the leap not knowing if you're gonna be good at it. It's expensive, and not knowing if you're just gonna enjoy it. So I'm gonna tell you the prices out of everything, at least a rough estimate of it, and then you guys can kind of see the things I got for my starter kit and maybe you wanna join along. So I'm gonna start with the yarn that I bought. I got two different kinds of yarn from Knit Picks. The first one I got is this Bear Hair, and I believe this is a fingering weight yarn. So here's all the information. It's 80% wool and 20% Angora, and then it's fingering weight 219 yards, 50 grams. I decided to just go with 50 gram skeins because I have no idea if I'm going to be good at this, and I don't want a 100 gram scheme of an ugly color. So that's what we settled with. I believe I got two different kinds of yarn, and they were between $3 and $4 a piece, and I got 6 of each kind, so 12 skeins total, just so I had enough to actually experiment with and not just like 2 skeins. You can't go far with that. So this is the first kind I've got, and then the second one that I bought was a sport weight because I am obsessed with sport weight yarn, and I thought it'd be fun to dye my own. So this is wool of Andes, and it's 100% Peruvian Highland wool, 274 yards, 100 grams, sport weight. I'm thinking about splitting these in half. I've never done that before, but we'll see. I think I'm gonna start with the fingering weight yarn, see how that goes, and then see if I want to split these in half or not, because again, never done that before. So that's the yarn that I bought for this experiment. I then went to Walmart and got 2 stainless steel crock pots. You can also do it in hotel pans, but I didn't really have time to look for hotel pans. I might order some off of Amazon if I like this, but these were like $7 each, so they're just gonna be perfect for this project. Then I got some of these bottles. I know they're ketchup and mustard bottles, but it's all I could find, and they were only $1.97 for a set of 2, so that's a pretty good deal. They'll do the same job as just the clear one. Then I got some of these masks because the chemicals that we'll be using are toxic, so you do want to wear a mask to protect yourself. I got some toothbrushes just in case I wanted to experiment with anything, some gloves to protect my hands. I got some plastic to protect my countertops and anything else that the dye might touch. I got some measuring spoons. I'm not sure if everything was supposed to be stainless steel, but yeah, these were the only ones I could find. So we have these. I got some tongs and then a spoon. And then to the dye, I went with the Dharma Trading Company dye. I don't really know anything about it. Honestly, I didn't do a lot of research. Just heard that people were talking about these, went and got them for myself, and here we are. So I got one of the starter kits, which came with a couple of dyes, and then it came with this citric acid. And then I also added some colors of my own because I wanted some extra ones just to experiment with. So we have a Valentine Blush. This is Brilliant Yellow, Fire Engine Red, Dark Navy, Peach Blush, Caribbean Blue, Deep Magenta, and what are you? Antique Mauve, which I'm really excited about. And I believe this one's just black. So that'll be fun for speckles and stuff. But that is just an overview of everything that I bought for this experiment. And I'm gonna go ahead and get some yarn soaking and see what we can do. Okay, so I have my first skein of yarn soaking in some lukewarm water, and then about 1/4 tablespoon of citric acid. I heard a lot of people online saying they use a 1/2 tablespoon per 100 grams of yarn. So I have 50 grams of yarn, so I did about 1/4 tablespoon of that, and then I kind of just pushed it down. And I'm gonna let this soak for 15 minutes. And to be honest with you, the yarn that I got isn't the softest, but I heard when you soak it with the citric acid or the vinegar or whatever you're using for your dyes, it actually softens it up. So I'm gonna soak it for 15 minutes and see what the consistency of the yarn is. And honestly, putting it in the water just immediately made it a lot softer. So I am very hopeful for this kind. While I wait for this, I'm going to probably kind of figure out what I want to do and then mix some dyes. And then once we're moving and grooving, I will come back to you. Okay, so I've already started the process, but I realized I forgot to tell you the prices of some of these other things. I kind of just stopped. So the kit that I got from Dharma Trading, I'm sure that's what you guys are most interested in. I think it came with 4 or 5 dyes, and then it came with the citric acid. I think it was $34.99 or something like that. And then I added a couple of colors that I liked, and those were like $2.66 each. So not very expensive at all. Honestly, I thought it was going to be a lot more expensive. Again, I didn't get like a ton of colors, but this is a great starter kit, and it's really going to allow me to explore and see if I'm any good at this. And then all the utensils were just like $1 each, and then like this was like $1. I'm sure the gloves were something like that, and then these were $1 as well. So it wasn't very expensive to get all of the things that I needed, but I can definitely see this becoming a lot more expensive of a hobby if I choose to stick with it and upgrade the tools that I'm using. So that's something to think about. But again, I didn't find that these were as expensive as I was expecting based on what everybody else said. But it definitely is an investment, so keep that in mind. So I rinsed out the yarn, and I've put more water in it. There is a little bit of blue on there because I opened up the dyes and I didn't even think about it, so the blue transferred from my gloves to that. But that's okay because I was actually thinking about using that color anyways. So, all right. So I kind of have an idea. I'm not going to just use like dye already mixed. I'm just going to do like speckles using a toothbrush. So I'm just going to dip it into the dry dye and kind of just flick it and see if that works. I have no idea if it will, but I'm also going to add a little bit of citric acid to this. So I'm going to do that right now. So I'm going to just sprinkle a little bit of this in there. I have no idea if you're supposed to do this, but it can't hurt, right? So that's good. So I've picked 3 main colors that I'm going to try to use, and then I may add in another one. And don't forget to have your mask on. If I kind of sound weird, it's because I have a mask on. So this is Peach Blush, and I just have it on the brush, and I'm going to just kind of flick it and see if that works. I don't know. Okay, so there is some of that. It's a really cool orange color. I mean, I expected it to be orange or a little bit peachy, so yeah. I don't know if it did exactly what I wanted it to do, but I'm gonna keep going with it and try it with another color. So now I'm going to use a Valentine blush, and I'm going to do the same thing. I think I'm just gonna use the same brush as well. So, see, that's the issue. It kind of just all fell off whenever I turned it over. So I don't know if this was a good idea, but we're gonna try again because this is a learning experience. It's like kind of working, I suppose. I don't know. Yeah, it's just coming off in big clumps. Just gonna pat that around. And I'm going to use Antique Mauve now. Okay, so this did not work out, so if you want to try this idea, you still can, but it wasn't my favorite method. I do have another method that I want to try, but this was fun. I'm kind of just gonna play around and move it a little bit. I think you can do that, and it's kind of heating up a little bit now, so kind of just like let it do its thing and hope it turns out all right. I think the colors go pretty well together, at least. I could also use my tongs to do this, but I already have this in my hand, so we're just gonna continue on with it. I kind of like it. It's giving me some control. I'm just trying to blend them together now because they didn't really speckle. So now I'm just trying to do like an ombre or something. I have no idea. I am literally just winging it, and I kind of like the results, so all right. I'm just gonna let this heat up, and then I'm going to turn it off and let it cool down, and then rinse it out and then let it dry, and we'll see how it turns out. All right, you guys, so this is what we're working with. It looks like it's splattered a little bit from the heat, and I've been keeping it covered. Don't know if you're supposed to do that. Again, this is no advice. This is just watching me experiment, but this is what I have ended up with. I have turned the heat off, and I'm letting it just cool down because you don't want to shock the yarn, so you need to let it cool down all of the way before you rinse it out. So I'm going to let this cool down, and then I'm going to take it into my bathroom and rinse it out in the bathtub because I think it's safer that way. I'm renting an apartment, so I hope this turns out. It's way different than what I thought I wanted it to be, but I kind of like it, I think. I don't know. All right, I'm gonna go. Bye. So here it is drying. There's a little bit more white than I want it, but overall, I think it turned out decent. Some peachy tones in here, which I really like. That's probably my favorite part. And then there's more peachy tones over here. But the yarn did soften up some, which is awesome. But I'm just letting it dry out here on my patio, just on some plastic, and I'll show you guys what it looks like when it's all skeined up. Hi guys, so it's a couple days later now, and I wanted to go ahead and show you how that skein turned out that I showed you. So as you can see, there's a lot more peachy colors. They almost look a little brown on camera, but it's very muted. And it's very muted because I didn't let the yarn soak up all of the dye. So the colors are very just like, I don't know how to describe it. They're just very faint. But as you can see, they do show it very well. It's just they're not as vibrant as they should have been. Also, there is quite a bit of white because I didn't put enough dye to get to all the areas. So there is a little bit more white than I wanted on something like this. Now, had the speckles worked out, the white would have been fine. But the speckles didn't work out because, again, I'm pretty sure I had too much water in the pot to do speckles. So I definitely tried some other techniques. Still haven't perfected the speckles. They're still really hard. But overall, I think my first skein turned out really well. The next day, my husband and I actually dyed some yarn together, which was super fun. We got to experiment a little bit more. So these are the ones that we came up with. This was my first one that I did. and I just used a variety of different colors, and then those colors changed into other colors, which is where the purple came from. And then I did some navy speckles using a different technique. Again, I think I still had a little bit too much water in the pot on this one, which is why they kind of bled a little bit more, but I'm actually obsessed with the way that this one came out. This one is also on the fingering weight base that the first one is from, so it looks really nice. It has some peaches in there, and the speckles did work out. Again, I used a different technique than the toothbrush, and I also used a lot less water, but still too much water. So I think the trick to speckles is very little water. So there's the first skein that I did when my husband and I dyed. And then these are the two that he made. This is on the sport weight base, and he wanted me to tell you guys that we didn't even have green, and he's so proud of all of the greens that he came up with, considering we had none. This is on the sport weight base. Like I said, we did split the skeins in half, and I dyed the other half, but I think the 100% Peruvian Highland yarn, I believe that's what this was, is a lot more fragile, and mine felt it and looked awful, so I did throw it away. So I'm super happy that I split them up and I was able to experiment. But these didn't dye because they're a different consistency than the yarn itself, so they didn't pick up the dye. But those are just like the leads that keep all the yarn together. But if you can like look in here, there's some really nice blues. He did a great job on this one. This is his favorite, so I'm excited to turn it into something for him. But there's that one. And then the next one that he did, this was the first one that he did. So it's got a lot of different colors in it. Again, he's obsessed with purple and green, so he made this purple, and then whenever he was in the pot, he dyed up, he mixed the colors so they would turn into some greens like he wanted. Again, he had the same issue with the white. He was pretty disappointed on having the white in there. Also, with my first one that I did, I also had a little bit more white, but I actually really liked the way that it looked, so I'm not disappointed in this one, but it's something that I'm working on. And since the one that I did with the sport weight didn't turn out, I decided to go ahead and dye another one the same day, and this is what I came up with. Again, I had a plan in mind, did not turn out at all. This is totally different than what I was going for. However, I really love it. So I mixed a bunch of colors together to get this like pale pinky peach color, which exactly the color that I love. And then I did some more navy sprinkles or speckles, whatever you want to say. And then I do have some Caribbean blue in here to add a little bit more dimension. And then again, some white. I don't think I was actually going for white in this one at all, but I think it works. I think it tones down everything and makes it all go together very well. So I really need to work on saturating my yarn so I don't get the white. It's harder than it looks, you guys, but I think it's a lot of fun, and I'm going to definitely work on more. This has to be my favorite skein right here. It's just perfect. But overall, these are the skeins that I've dyed so far. Some of my husband did. He had a lot of fun, so I think it's definitely something, if you're like a yarn freak and you want to include your significant other, I think this is something that everybody can have fun with. Now, I really wouldn't recommend it for kids unless you're using Kool-Aid or natural dyes, because these dyes are very toxic. So I would just keep it to a spouse or a sister or friend to help you. So I do give this experience a 10 out of 10. It was definitely fun to try. I'm glad I made the investment, and I'm going to continue to dye at least the yarns that I bought. Now, I still need to work on skeening or hanking up these yarns, because as you can tell, they all look like crap. I'm not very good at it yet, but I think it's okay. You still get the idea, and they're still together nicely. But overall, like I said, I really enjoyed this experience, and I hope you guys enjoyed following me along. If you liked this video, remember to give it a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button down below, and leave a comment on which one is your favorite and what you want to see more content of. Alright guys, I will see you next time.